In addition to being called a maverick, Jeff, other people have said you're the guru CMO because you've transitioned Kodak through some really hard times. As you've mentioned, you've changed course almost entirely. What are the three biggest mistakes that you see other CMOs making that perhaps they made in 2009 and might make in 2010 if they don't change course and adjust course now?
Well, I don't know that I would hold myself responsible for that. We've got a great team at Kodak. I've known Kodak for 25 years of my professional career, and it's just, I couldn't wait to come and work for this company because of the people and the products. I mean, we've got, you know, I make a joke that it's so cold in Rochester we got nothing better to do but sit inside and invent things, and it's really cold in Rochester. So when I look at mistakes that other CMOs make, I think one of the biggest ones is that they really slide in and follow the weasel. You know, or follow the ball, whatever you want to call it, but I call them weasels because it's time distractors. So what they do is they move from all broadcast to all social media, or all this to all of this. And I think that's a big mistake for a lot of them. Now, we're big into social media at Kodak, but it's just one tool in our arsenal. And we blend it with our other campaigns. So I think that's a big one. The other big mistake I think a lot of chief marketing officers make is they're not very clear on their value proposition. And to have that value proposition. So for instance, at Kodak, we're very clear about our value proposition around, say, around consumer inkjet, for instance. Because in consumer inkjet, it's all about the pricey ink that's out there. And the model is you buy a cheap printer and then they hook you on the high-priced ink. And we said, no, there's value in a fair-priced printer and lower-priced ink, and the total cost of ownership is greater for the consumer. Well, our competitors would like us to get into this fight about I don't know, quality or about this or about that, and we don't want to go in the weeds. So focusing in on the value proposition and staying very crisp to that value proposition. And the other thing I think that marketers make big mistakes on is they don't trust their gut. And so therefore they let people talk themselves out of things. And so, you know, and then there's been times when I've made decisions in the company and then all of a sudden I start getting criticized for them, that it would be easy for me to just let it go and to stop whatever that is, whether it was a video that we're doing or commercial or, you know, a whole host of things. I can make a long list of those because the people come out. Everybody thinks they have an opinion on marketing and they do want to give it. And that's okay, but that doesn't mean they're right. And so, you know, I'm good at what I do because that's what I do. And I trust the scientists at what they do. I trust the chief financial officer at what he does. I trust the head of HR for what they do because they're perfect and they're experts in their domain, and they should do the same thing. And so we work on that trust. But sometimes I find a lot of chief marketing officers, a lot of people in marketing, second-guessing themselves when they know in their gut it's right. And you need to learn to have that stick-to-itiveness. And I actually had the former CMO of Kodak, who at one time I went out and did something and I was catching a lot of flack for it, and he said, stick to your guns, and he was right. And that was some of the best advice that I'd ever given. And I've given Carl Gustin a lot of credit for giving me that advice, and that was one of the best things I learned.